Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for the last edition of our 6 p.m. news this week over Camdis Television. Straight away, let's begin with our major stories. Cameroon and U.S. military cooperation was reaffirmed on May 7, 2026 as President Paul Biya received AFRICOM Deputy Commander General John William Brennan at the Unity Palace in Yaoundé. The discussions focused on counter-terrorism efforts in the far north and Lake Chad Basin alongside plans for joint naval exercises to address insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea and Central Africa. And out of the country, former Botswana President Festus Mogae has died at the age of 86 after decades of service marked by economic reforms and a strong fight against HIV/AIDS. Widely respected across Africa, he is being honored with 3 days of national mourning as tribute poured in for his leadership and lasting impact on Botswana. You have these stories and more in a bit. As you heard in one of our lead stories, Cameroon and the United States have reaffirmed their counter-terrorism partnership as President Paul Biya hosted AFRICOM Deputy Commander General John William Brennan at the Unity Palace on May 7, 2026. Their discussions centered on ongoing security threats in the far north region and the Lake Chad Basin, with both sides reviewing joint operations and plans for a 2026 multinational naval exercises to counter threat in the Gulf of Guinea and Central Africa. Promise Akante in the following report.
On Thursday, May 7, 2026, the Unity Palace played host to an important working session between the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, and General John William Brennan, Deputy Commander of the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM. For nearly an hour, the two officials reviewed the main security challenges facing the sub-region, with particular emphasis on the fight against terrorism in the far north region and throughout the Lake Chad Basin. The discussions also focused on the mechanisms of military cooperation between the United States and Cameroon, particularly the strategic partnership developed with Cameroonian Special Operation Forces engaged on the ground against terrorist groups. This audience is part of the ongoing regular exchanges between Yaoundé and Washington on issues of security and regional stability. On September 19, 2025, the Cameroonian head of state had already received General Edwin Anderson, then recently appointed to head U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM. At the end of that previous meeting, General Anderson had praised the professionalism and effectiveness of Cameroon's defense and security forces engaged in the fight against terrorism. During that September 2025 visit, the head of U.S. Africa Command had also raised the prospect of co-organizing during 2026 a multinational naval exercise between Cameroon, several African partner countries, and the United States, an initiative intended to strengthen military cooperation and joint operational capabilities in the face of security threats in the Gulf of Guinea and Central Africa.
A day after his death was announced, longtime National Assembly President Emeritus Kava Yege-Jibril was honored by a delegation led by the Right Honorable Theodore Ndatua to the far north region. Remembered for his mastery of debate, loyalty to Republican institutions, and influence within the CPDM, Jibril was praised as a statesman whose career defined Cameroon's legislature for decades. We have Promise Akante once more in the following report.
The President of the National Assembly, Honorable Theodore Ndatua, visited the far north region on Thursday, May 7, 2026, to pay tribute to the late President Emeritus of the National Assembly, the Honorable Kavaye Yege-Jibril. Barely 24 hours after the announcement of his death, the head of the lower house of Cameroon's bicameral parliament, accompanied by members of the bureau and several senior administrative officials of the parliamentary institution, landed at the Maroua International Airport to express the nation's solidarity and compassion to the bereaved family. Upon its arrival, the delegation was welcomed by the governor of the Far North region, Miji Yawa Bakari, surrounded by the region's administrative, municipal and traditional authorities. They all praised this gesture, marked by respect and recognition for the man who profoundly shaped the political and parliamentary history of Cameroon. During the various speeches, the officials present unanimously recalled the memory of a statesman whose career will remain engraved in the annals of the National Assembly. The late Honorable Kava Yegeji-Bril is presented as an emblematic figure of the Cameroonian Parliament, recognized for his mastery of debate, his attachment to Republican institutions, as well as his constant loyalty to the President of the Republic. An influential member of the political bureau of the Cameroon's People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM party, the deceased also reportedly held the position of head of the permanent delegation of the party's Central Committee in the Far North region. The delegation, led by the President of the National Assembly, took part this Friday in the Dua prayer organized in Mada. This Muslim religious ceremony, consisting of Quranic recitation, prayer and charitable acts, was celebrated in memory of the deceased 3 days after his burial.
From the Far North region, we bring you back to the Center to Talk Education, where the Happy Elite English Technical High School in Elumdem has this Friday organized an open door day dedicated to promoting hands-on learning and technical innovation. The event brought together students, teachers, and partners to explore practical workshops and live demonstrations, highlighting the growing importance of technical and vocational education in Cameroon. Melanimbo and Mado Shekwati.
The Open Day gave visitors direct access to demonstrations and workshops designed to showcase the school role in preparing skilled graduates for the workforce.
Today we are celebrating our Open Door Day, and this activity works in lines with our school vision, which is building job creators and no longer job seekers in Cameroon.
The demonstrations were intended to bridge the gap between classroom learning and real-world application. The institution demonstrated the growing need for technical education in Cameroon through practical displays across several departments. From tailoring and electrical power systems, motor mechanics to home economics, students presented capabilities that highlighted both the diversity and relevance of the training offered.
We got the blue and the yellow, so we can come out with two different skills.
The parlor. When you want to enter the parlor, you press the lamp and the parlor will come on. Nothing happening there. But now, if it goes up,
the institution's presentations underlined its commitment to ensuring that job opportunities exist for graduates entering the market. School officials and students emphasized how technical training equipped young Cameroonians with tools to become job creators rather than only job seekers.
Technical education is one of the best systems of education, and it's what we all need today in our country, Cameroon. I encourage all parents out there, students, especially those leaving primary 6 to the secondary schools, to choose technical education because it is one of the best systems of education in our country and the world at large. Build entrepreneurs, we build job creators, we build civil engineers, we build electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. Those are all the services that Cameroon needs to become emerged come 2035.
The interactions aim to strengthen ties between the school and the job market, ensuring that training remains aligned with what employers and communities require.
So Happy Elites came up to see how to reduce this unemployment rate in our country by creating a technical school. Our motto is creativity, discipline, academic excellence. Every individual has to be creative. Once you are creative, you open job opportunities for others. And this is what Cameroon needs to build an emerging Cameroon come 2035.
The institution's focus on practical skills, entrepreneurship and market readiness reflects a broader push to make technical education a cornerstone of Cameroon's development and youth empowerment strategy.
The first ordinary session of the steering committee for the support of disadvantaged young people in the northern regions of Cameroon has held in Yaoundé with the announcement of innovations for the fourth phase. Speaking in Yaoundé this Friday, officials of both structures say close to 10,000 youth have benefited from the first three phases of the project. Elise Yanda and Promise Akante.
Close to 7,500 youth have been trained, installed, and have benefited equipment for their entrepreneurial skills. Councils have been trained to be active for the field with youth and women who are to benefit from the project. The revelation was made during the first ordinary session of the Steering Committee of the Support Project for the Socio-Economic Resilience of Disadvantaged Young People in the northern regions of Cameroon that took place this Friday, the 8th of May in Yaoundé. The project has so far recorded resounding success in its first three phases.
This project comes as a complement for the projects already launched by His Excellency President Paul Biya, notably the 3-year special youth plan, which already attains certain results that are already visible on the field, and the special employment fund that the head of state has launched, and which of course have 50 billion already put in place for the entrepreneurship of youths and the women for the 2026 budgetary year.
Supported by their German partners, the project has enabled thousands of people who are struggling to make ends meet, a balance sheet worth celebrating.
During the first three phases, there were close to 10,000 young people that have benefited from